Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to Navtastic, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I'm Mr. Fernandes, and
I'm Chris Jayawardena. Hello.
And we're about to review the Laverne Shirley episode Testing, which is from season 5. Written by Chris Thompson, with a story from Kelly Rich, and directed by Joel Zwick. And I bet you got some facts about them, don't you, Chris?
I do. So I actually did not know the information from a story from Kelly Rich because when I did my searching for notes, I did not see that name attached to it.
It's actually in the opening credits and it's on the Wikipedia entry.
Crap. Okay, IMDb screwed me. Sorry, no. Kelly. We will do an addendum to this episode at some point in the future. Then.
Go for it.
All right. But yeah, so for Chris Thompson, sad to say, this is our final episode from Chris. This will be at least the last one we have him as a writer. He had an auspicious and sometimes surprising credit, throughout the first 5 seasons, from Airport 59 to Driving Test to Bully Show, of all fucking things. And yes, this is an explicit episode. We're just going to go with that because content-wise, we're going to go there.
Yes.
But he even did as well just what we did last week, the 4th annual Shotz Talent Show, and finally ends with this one. He was credited as script consultant for seasons 4 and 5 and produced for a bunch of that time as well. So Chris Thompson went on to create multiple TV series, including Bosom Buddies, Hard Knocks, The Naked Truth, Action, Ladies' Man, and Shake It Up. This will reunite him with other Laverne Shirley alums such as Penny Marshall, Jeff Franklin, Roger Garrett, Tom Turbovich, and Joel Zwick. Sadly, Chris Thompson died in 2015 after a long illness finally overtook him. He passed away while visiting his friend Tim Curry's house in June of that year. We'll have lengthy obituaries from Variety and Deadline below, but there is this quote from the Deadline obit about his passing that I thought was really interesting. Chris Thompson was the kind of writer that writers write about, said longtime friend Jim Vallely on Saturday night. He was pushing the envelope back when people still used envelopes. Chris's show Bosom Buddies was the first sitcom I'd ever seen that was actively sneaking jokes by the censors. On Chris's Fox comedy Action, after he handed in a first draft of an especially raunchy episode, it was returned from Standards and Practices with a stamped, "This script has been rejected," in all caps on the cover page. I had never seen that stamp before or after, and I don't think I ever will. I and everyone else who's ever worked with him are devastated by this sad news. So I wanted to make sure we discuss this because we give you a salute, fellow Chris. There was a lot of people who spoke incredibly highly of him. Bella Thorne, who was in Shake It Up, spoke very highly of him as a father figure in the early part of her career. It's definitely something I wanted to bring up was, Mr. Thompson did a lot of work that we really enjoyed on the show. He was responsible for a lot of good things about the show. And with Bosom Buddies, that helped give us Tom Hanks. So, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
So... And I still say, if you can find Action, it is definitely a body show. It's a bit gritty, but it's essentially a single camera sitcom about a really crappy agent producer type in Hollywood, played by Jay Moore. Great show. Real producers who had infamous backstories are in the show. I'm pretty sure Joel Silver shows up at some point, which is fantastic. Chris Thompson, heck of a guy, did a really good job on this script, as we'll find out. Joel Zwick. The reason I wanted to kind of wait and cover this now is I am honestly out of Joel Zwick notes at this point. I'm going to track down some other podcasts that he's been on to see if I can dredge up anything else. I'm going to go ahead and take a quote that I've probably already used before in these intros from an interview he did with BroadwayWorld.com or BWW. I'll link it down below. So in this interview, this was circa around February of 2020, before all the madness blew up on us. But Joel at the time said, "I enjoy doing what I'm doing while I'm doing it. Right now, I'm directing theater, so that's what I enjoy the most. However, in terms of efficiency and speed, perhaps directing sitcoms was the easiest because it's 1 week, either the best episode you ever directed or the worst piece of garbage. It was only 1 week of your life." And that is a really interesting way to look at the working director's life. But anyway... So that's our notes for the behind the camera guys today.
Oh, wow. I saw Action a long time ago. It was airing, I think, on IFC at one point.
Yes, it was. Yep.
Yeah, and it just kind of, I haven't seen it in centuries, and I gotta look it up.
Yeah, I want to say Shout Factory may have put that on DVD.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they dropped on DVD at some point, complete series. So. Yeah, that's out there somewhere. I gotta actually study that. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking up. You can still get it on Amazon. Yeah, the complete series, uncut and unbleeped. Fantastic.
Oh, awesome.
Released by Sony. Okay, nice. But yeah. Yeah, Jay Moore,
awesome.
Elena Douglas, and Jared Paul. Yeah, Elena Douglas
Yeah.
is fantastic in that show.
She is. She's fabulous in a lot of things. But
Oh, yeah.
she was really good in that. That was really worth it. So it's been a long time since I've seen it. To see it eventually. Here's what the episode's about. Laverne gets nervous when the gang at Shotz are informed they're going to be subjected to psychological testing, and soon her anxiety spreads to Shirley and the boys. In consulting with Dr. Matthew Gentry, Squiggy exposes childhood scars, Lenny expresses his gratitude for what he's got in light of his inferiority complex, and Shirley's perfectionist dreams of suburban utopia melt under the weight of questioning. Meanwhile, Laverne has to deal with two injured hands when her attempt at stopping the line after seeing a batch of cutters move down it results in some cut-up mitts. Initially called a hero, she harbors a secret about why she jumped on that conveyor belt. What will be revealed, and will everyone keep their jobs? So what do you think of this one?
That was something else. I remember you hyping me up on this, that it was a good one and like one of your favorite ones. You've dropped mention to it before. We watched this actually before prepping to do this for the pod, because I think we did this on one of the watch along marathons, right?
Yes. I think I did this for my birthday marathon. It's one of my favorite episodes. I'm pretty sure I did.
That's right. Yeah, this and Sing Sing Sing, I recall, were that was my first time watching that one, was during this.
Yes, you like them both.
I loved them both, and this blew me away. Yes. I'm amazed at how intelligently it's written. I'm absolutely flabbergasted by the sensitivity and the acting. This is incredibly theater driven.
Yes.
It also has the signs, and one could say this is a negative in that it has this sort of amateur roughness of a acting workshop. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think it's just kind of, in some respects, like either an aesthetic choice or just the spirit of it, because there is a rawness to it in the performances and even the character details that makes me wonder how much the writing of this was actually galvanized through the rehearsal process, where the actors were bringing something to their characters.
Yeah. We get some real depth here. We get a lot of wonderful depth. This is one of my favorite episodes for a lot of reasons, because this is a character study episode. We go bone deep into all four characters here, and we learn a lot about them and how they interact with the world and how they see themselves and what their real dreams and hopes and ambitions are. And it's incredibly sympathetic to all four of them.
Mm-hmm.
And to who they really are at core. It's a lovely episode. It's beautifully written. Incredibly written. Some of the best writing on the show ever.
Yeah, it's so human.
Yes.
I guess is the thing that blows me away, because when we talk about these actors, we talk about the range that David had as a performer, and especially the character depth that he shows as Squiggy. When we talk about how Michael has, now is an Emmy nominated actor for Better Call Saul, or we talk about Penny and the fact that she was trying to find herself, and we see the depth of her as a director and the depth of her as a storyteller, and how, she added these layers of humanity to Laverne, who, a lot of people would have played as just a bimbo. And then Cindy Williams. Cindy Williams was part of the New Hollywood.
Yeah.
And you see that here. It's interesting. I'm curious, what your take is on the fact that there is so much laughter, real laughter from the audience. It's not a laugh track. And I'm curious what your take is on the fact that there's some very real human emotional stuff here, and yet it still is being interpreted as funny, and it still is funny. Yeah. But I was curious what your take is on that.
It manages to balance the general comedy of life very well. Life intrinsically is very both funny and tragic at the same time, a lot of the time. And the show manages to point at everybody's big flaws and their character issues, while also saying, hey, this isn't really funny. This is really who they are and who they feel. They manage to make jokes surrounding this material, and occasionally jokes that are part of the material, like Squiggy's declaring himself a ragged muffin, your average everyday ragged muffin, and then you find out that his parents just abandoned him at home for days at a time, At least his parents came back, unlike Lenny's mother.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's like you learn awful, awful, awful things about everyone and how tough their childhoods were. And Shirley's almost over the top need for perfection and order. And she has this suburban dream of perfect tranquility, and there's never any, anything messy going on. There's never any mistakes or any horrible, horrible real life events. There's all flowers, no blood, so to speak, in her idea. And Laverne the cynic just, sees terrible things coming. And she thinks, well, the glass is half empty, but I can get something good out of the half empty glass. And that's very, very hard. It's incredible character work.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible character work.
Yeah, my note here about Cindy's performance in particular, how she fluctuates between the confident mask and a complete wreck.
Yes.
It's stellar done. Yes. I mean, the writing for her is that amazing mix of like tragic and like cosmic in a way. Yes. Flying into paranoia, her self-deprecation. The way that a physical gesture she does is where she smacks her head. Like you can imagine that's what she feels she has to do to make her mother happy. Because it's her mom's criticism, like, oh, you're so stupid, you did this, you did this, you did this, you did this, and then she has to then come up with an excuse for her picture, because the idea of this whole thing of the idealized family thing, and the way they use that with Shirley in particular is just she has to come up with this excuse of them not being home, that there's no people in the house.
You have the perfect exterior, but the interior doesn't exist because she does not know how to act out the interior. She hasn't experienced it.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Oh God, that's a great phrasing of it, because exactly, she came from this broken home. She doesn't know what this beautiful, perfect family life she wants looks like.
Yeah, she only just sees it in movies and TV shows. She sees what she wants, but she hasn't experienced actual marriage. She hasn't experienced what it's like to have a screaming toddler in her arms. She hasn't had the teething baby experience, or having to nurse every 2 hours, or the dog that bites and snaps and poops where it ought not to. And the husband that won't come home or comes home late. She's seen that with her father. So she thinks if she gets this white-collar business and this white-collar lifestyle, rather, that she's guaranteed to have a husband that'll be a 9-to-5-er who's guaranteed to be there after like 5 or 6 o'clock. In his robe with his slippers and his newspaper and all that jazz. She thinks that's what's going to happen, but it's not guaranteed. And, that's the tragedy of Shirley Feeney.
It is, yeah. It's the thing that, and it's kind of sad to think that this comes, halfway through the series. And I know enough about where this is going with Shirley that, God, I wish that she was going to get a happier send-off than she actually does 3 seasons from now. Because, God, you want to see her grow. Like today, I would be really fascinated to see how a show like this could be done, what these characters could be done today, and to see them grow into happier, better people.
Yeah.
And kind of the way that, like in Spaced, at the end of Spaced, they all are better, stronger, more adapted people. They grew up, basically.
Yeah.
And because that's also, I think, what's the interesting idea of this whole push is you're seeing who they are and where they're at. Yes. And the possibility of where they can go.
Yes. I've always said my ultimate Shirley ending is that she's not chasing a doctor. She's not married to a doctor. She is the doctor.
Yeah.
That's the ending she really needed. She becomes a doctor. That's the ending she needed. And Laverne, after all of her years of like chasing lots of guys, maybe she finds one guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one kind of blonde, kind of lanky, kind of pale, guy.
Yeah, blue eyes. And get the shipping right in there. Get it in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, come on. There is the point where she does comfort him in this episode when he comes out of the room all kind of broken after the psychiatry interview.
Yeah. And he asks her, "How are your little hands, Laverne?"
Oh,
they're at the table at the end there. That's cute.
Yeah,
it's not particularly shippy episode, but you can get little hints here and there.
Yeah. Listen, this is the shipper lifestyle. When you ship, you ship for life.
Well, I've been shipping it since I was like in my early preteens, so that's how it goes. That's how it goes with me. Oh gosh, yeah. But back to the episode itself.
Yes.
Poor Laverne slicing up both of her hands trying to grab cutters. Guess can you imagine how much that would hurt?
Oh, the pain.
Oh,
yeah. Now,
God.
thankfully, I wonder if the medical techs overdid the bandaging, so it makes it look worse than it actually is.
Well,
But
you can see
absolutely,
all the plasters on her fingers in the last scene.
That's
You
true.
see all the little band-aids and plasters all over it. So she got cut up all over her
She still
fingers.
got cut up. But yeah, exactly. I did want to point out, I love the terminology discussion at the beginning, which already kind of establishes the difference between these characters, because Shirley's thinking of the lingo, and she's becoming like a career bottle capper at this point, knowing, it's like, you got a bunch of cutters, and
Yeah.
and Shirley's mama guilt and everything, but the industry jargon thing, whereas to Laverne, and obviously, when they reveal that, she basically fell asleep on the line, her thinking is, thing there, I do the thing. That's a very, she just doesn't look before she leaps, does she?
No. Never. That's Laverne's impulsive nature combined with the fact that she fell asleep on the line. And she knew it was her fault, and she didn't want to be fired.
Mm-hmm.
And then, she ended up, taking the hero role there. And, in the end, that's okay. It's okay that she got cut up because Shirley thinks she's a good person. Which is kind of sweet in a way. God, that whole scene. Oh, my heart. The whole scene.
Yeah. As in the discussion at the end, you mean?
Yes. Yeah. Her scene with Dr. Gentry. Yes.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Great.
Yeah.
All of it's great,
Yeah.
and all of it's touching. Everybody has like extremely touching moments.
Yep. Yeah. The whole adjuster,
Yes,
that's it. And that line just breaks my heart every time. Yeah. See, Doc, I'm an adjuster. That's your job?
Yeah.
No, that's my life. And
my life.
God, it's, yeah. It is one of the best Laverne scenes in the entire series.
Yes,
I cannot
so
see
far.
this getting topped. I really can't.
We got some stuff coming up. We'll see.
I don't know, man. This, at the very least, this may just end up being my favorite. But I mean, it's so, yeah, and that's not even to talk about. So far, we haven't even covered Lenny and Squiggy, because Squiggy, going first, has the body language is totally key in everything, and and that's actually what I love about this episode, is it's super physical despite being so talky.
Yes, it is. David was always very careful when he was portraying Squiggy. The way his posture, the way he held his body, the way he talks.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying so hard to be cool and disaffected in front of Gentry.
And runs right into the trash bin, exactly on cue.
Yep. Are you paranoid? I'm German.
So, yes.
Yes. What kind of child were you? White?
Yeah. I mean, every line in the exchanges is just chef's kiss. Just, it's good.
Yes, yeah. And after you peel back all that humor, you hear that his parents left him for 2 or 3 days at a time alone. And apparently him and Squendel, his sister, who we meet later.
Yeah.
And it's awful to think about. And that you notice that in Squiggy, it takes a while to dig that out of him. Compare that to Lenny, who just blurts it out immediately.
Mm-hmm.
While staring shamefacedly at a wall. Because he's afraid of being judged.
Yep.
That's just like, the heart, ow.
And so I don't necessarily have the notes about Lenny's personality and his vulnerability that he shows in the interview. I do, but see, what I'm saying is, in my notes I have about Squiggy, about seeing his literalism, his cynicism, his blasé bitterness. What would then you say be Lenny's? What aspects of Lenny's character get to shine through?
His openness, like he blurts out everything about his whole life without being prompted to do so. And then he absolutely thinks that he doesn't even deserve what he has, in a way. Driving a truck with his best friend is a life way better than what he thought he would get. And that's both sweet and sad. We learned that he grew up on government assistance. He got his lunch money from his teacher. And since they were pretty much relying on his father's tips and wages as a busboy, if we take into account what's in Lenny and the Squigtones album, so they were living like below the poverty line. And that's how he grew up. And that's the sad at the center of his funny, so to speak, as Penny would say.
Yeah, the bitter Tootsie Pop center of the Tootsie Pop.
Yeah, exactly. And if you really, really think about it, and the kids were making fun of him because his mom left him. Just imagine what that's like. His mother physically abuses him from the time he was an infant.
Mm-hmm.
Then she abandons him on his 5th birthday, and kids make fun of him for that. Just think about what that really means, and look at him and see what that does to his character, what that does to his personality. That says everything. His inferiority complex is just screaming through here.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as he even leaves and says, he said, what happened? He said, I lack confidence. I think I failed.
I failed. My heart, my baby.
Don't worry, Laverne's there to try to comfort him.
Yeah, exactly. You poor dope.
It's a big dope, yeah. But yeah, it's but it's that is, I guess, the depth and strength of this episode that kind of, it doesn't come out of nowhere. Like, we've been building up towards this for these 5 years. Yeah. And in some regard, like, I really do love that this is as a writing credit, even though I'm sure there were plenty of folks that contributed to this episode. I wouldn't doubt the entire writer's room did. I'm glad this is Chris's last one as credited as a writer, because the idea that this is such an amazing note to go out on, because when we're building up all these different pieces of who they are, and then basically, kind of tearing a part of themselves open and seeing that and being terrified of this vulnerability that they're going to get fired. And that's what you really see, is that they are scraping, just barely scraping by for the job, for work, for money, what have you, to live. That it is and it really talks about, as we've mentioned before, the classism that is one of the key tenets of the show's comedic confrontation. And the speech Dr. Gentry gives at the end is this amazing, like, that's a really good final scene of like the whole series, because like, if it was going to end in Milwaukee, that's kind of where I would want it to conclude. Because because it's like they're so, and I know there are tons of people that are not going to agree with this. I know there's folks that we know that aren't going to agree with this, but there is a poetry to, he sees them and he hears them the way that we, the audience, have.
Yes.
And he praises them in a way that they need and they've never been able to feel before.
Yeah, exactly. It shows the level of depth lying under the skin, is what it does. Under the surface of this goofy, loud, physical comedy, heavy sitcom, here is the heart of these characters. And it just shines right through.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you really think about it, and if you care at all about these characters, it's like, right in the heart, right in the heart.
And even, I was going to say, I honestly, if somebody just said, I don't want to watch the whole 8 seasons, I just want like 10 episodes, this would be the final one of the 10 I would show them.
This would be in the pack. For me, this would definitely be in the pack.
Yeah.
I would probably bookend it with something different. We'll get there along as we keep watching. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then poor Shirley.
Oh,
Dr. Ray.
Man. Yep.
Oh, yeah. And then just this idea that she, like we said, she has this perfect idea of what life should be like, but has no idea what the content of a life would really be like. She just has a notion that she's learned. It's kind of sad.
Yeah. And
Sad.
it makes me wonder how successful her brothers really are, you know?
Yeah. Well, we know Bobby's a drunk.
Yeah.
You know, Bobby's a drunk.
Oh, God. Yeah, that one.
You can
Oh,
imagine
man.
that the rest of them have similar issues.
Yeah, it hits
she
close to
has
home.
issues.
Yeah.
It's like, ugh.
Yeah, this. Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting that through all this, as wonderfully as empathic and kind and etc., I think interesting that Dr. Gentry, when he has the conversation with Laverne about she starts to ask him questions, which is a great method to get her to talk and react and to learn about her through learning about him and etc. Is white is his favorite color, vanilla is his favorite ice cream. It's like he's a blank slate, but it's actually good for him, because I realize it makes him not just like the sounding board, he's like a mirror. And it allows him to reflect back to his patients what they are and let them see themselves without judgment.
This is where we learn that Laverne likes ice cream with ripples in it. Doesn't matter what the ripples are. Anything with ripple.
Yeah. Aw, ripple bells.
And her utter fear that she's going to blurt out stuff about sex is hilarious. She thinks about other things other than sex. Then she asks him if it's cheap to kiss on the first date.
Yeah.
You're awfully good at your work.
Yeah.
And it just shatters your heart with the crop adjuster stuff and how, she just, adjusts to the misery of her life. She doesn't she doesn't even try to go out there and actively change it, according to this. She just accepts it and adjusts what comes to her. And that's the difference between her and Shirley. Shirley's out there striving, and she's adjusting what she's given.
Exactly. Yeah, and
that's what's sad.
Yeah, it is, because I mean, for us, we don't want to see her just adjust to what's there. We want to see her strive. We want to see her, be realistic about it, but still, dream a bit. It's interesting, actually, to point out. So in this session of recording some episodes right now in July, we are actually, so for those listening, we're recording this in July of 2021. We are just about to, I think the next on our docket, if we have time, is we're going to do Nancy Remembers Laverne from Blansky's Beauties. And it's really interesting to talk about these aspects of Laverne and the depth of psychology and all of the endless thoughts of dreams and striving and classism, etc., compared to what that episode does regarding its portrayal and perspective of the less financially fortunate.
Yeah, it is interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting.
By the way, did Squiggy make an anachronistic Exorcist reference by saying "thank your lucky Pazuzus," or was that me hearing that line wrong?
I'm pretty sure that might have been David ad-libbing that, and that's an intentional line. It might have been David doing some ad-libbing. I actually did remark on lucky Pazuzus in all caps. And Laverne getting your fingers gassed.
Yes. I love that line. And then and she kind of gives Squiggy the finger at one point with her hands all covered up, right?
Yes!
There's a gesture.
Yes. She's trying to flip him off, but her hands are all completely covered, so she can't do anything.
I love that.
Great. I love Dr. Gentry so much, though. I really do. I love everything about the way they have him, and there's this calm, reassuring sounding board who's also got his own opinions about them, as we quickly find out. Oh my goodness. And then, of course, Laverne says that she can go crazy on the first date. And Lenny bites his hand.
Yep. Yeah, the group bonding in that final scene is so cute. And I love how much I also noted here there's that close up of Squiggy in the final scene, added coverage and close ups. This is a way more directed episode. There's a lot more coverage in all of the scenes. That's why I wonder how much of this was done through rehearsals and through a much more careful process, because even directorially, there's more going on that you would have to break down these scenes, unless they added more cameras. But even then, I don't know if they would have had the room. But it works really well, and it adds all that depth. And I bring this up partly of the group bonding as well, because it gives you these little focus moments of kind of a little bit of everybody, and bring it all back together. And then they all spit take when Dr. Gentry comes looking for him.
Yes, exactly. I'm wondering actually if there were reshoots possibly involved here.
It's
Maybe.
possible. Yeah.
I do not know, but the direction really is beautiful. The writing and direction is A++.
Hey, Mark, if you're still following us, let us know.
Yeah. Shout out to Mark Sotkin, who's following us on Twits now.
Yeah. But yeah, then you get the speech at the end from Dr. Gentry, and I love the audience applause is great, and the reaction is glorious, and it's
everyone's spit taking except for Lenny. And then he just slowly looks at his coffee in confusion at the bottom of this coffee, trying to figure out what happened. And then he just takes his goggles and puts them over his eyes.
I forgot about that. You're right. Yes. I remember that now.
How do you forget that? I love that moment. I love it. Oh, man.
Thank you for catching that. That's a glorious little beat.
Oh, it's so cute. I'm trying to figure out, what the heck is that picture inside of Laverne's locker? I think, is that Julius LaRosa? I think.
I did not pay attention to that. I was writing notes about the psychology of the episode at the time. But yeah. I should double check for that. Probably future me put up a picture of that. Thank you.
Yes.
That'll be on the YouTube version for those of you watching the audio only version through Spotify or Apple or what have you.
And thank you for doing so. Please vote your feelings about this episode. Give us some stars. Help us with the algorithm.
Yeah, all hail the mighty algorithm. All for bird sacrifices to the almighty algorithm.
Hail algorithm! Hail algorithm!
Worship the algorithm at the church of your choice. Sorry for the tangent there, folks, but any chance to reference Mystery Science Theater, we're pretty much going to run with. Yeah, so we'll figure out the mystery of the picture in the locker. But yeah, I'll take another look at that. But yeah, and
I love Dr. Gentry's little speech. Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, I only have part of it.
Gorgeous.
I have some of it written down. You know, the blue collar workers I have studied are conscientious and take pride in what they do. They are able to overcome hardship in early life in spite of adversity. They are fiercely loyal to their fellow workers. Much of their work is tedious, but they persevere. It's really cool. I also like they reference early life in two reasons. Is that obviously they mention their childhoods, references the childhoods being very difficult. They also, it's a reminder these characters are like below the age of like 26, right?
At this point, yes.
They're not over the hill. They have a lot to, and that's why I feel like this would be an interesting place to end it as a first, like this series has been the first chapter of their lives as adults, So, yeah. Anyway, it's good stuff.
Exactly.
And then the tag scene.
It's amazing. And that, in which Carmine draws a house, in which the Nelsons are going at it. Gee, Pop, you finally took your sweater off. Carmine.
God. Oh, Carmine.
Shirley is so scandalized.
I was bothered by that, to be honest.
I find that bothersome. Like, I just found it like ridiculous.
Yeah, I guess it's just the whole thing of like it's the way that they're portraying her again is this very much tut Carmine, how dare you have these smutty thoughts when it's like you're alone with your boyfriend that you clearly have had moments you've wanted to bone. Like, God damn it, Shirley.
Like, no, it's script inconsistency yet again.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just,
anyway, but yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a throwaway scene. It's a little joke. It feels like a we don't know how to end this on a joke kind of scenes.
Yeah. It's a surprisingly it's one of those episodes actually that probably would have been stronger without the tag.
Yeah, one of the few cases. Yeah.
Yeah, if you just ended it with them having that moment of respect and affection with Dr. Gentry, then I think it would work better. That's just my little opinion.
I agree with it. So it is a shared opinion.
I actually would have moved the Carmine tag to the middle of the episode where they're all talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or maybe Carmine and Shirley are just randomly like like drawing something, and there's him being a smutty dork, and she's like, I can't believe you're besmirching my favorite TV show. We have to give, by the way, a little shout out about Squiggy and Lenny's Dateline, Shotz Brewery.
Oh my God,
Like,
that is my new favorite boys bit. Digga 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 digga, and now the news.
Well, at least he's sincere.
Indeed.
And then Mr. and Mrs. America and all the shrimps at sea. Beautiful.
Oh God.
Yeah.
We'll tell you the news if you tell us why Laverne's wearing mittens. Yeah, there's so many lines. It's so
I
great.
know. It looked like a cow.
Oh
Laverne
yeah,
trying to
the house. Yeah, because she had.
her teeth.
But yeah, can you answer me
Man.
one question? Why do you want to live in a cow?
The way she looks at him. The way she looks at him after, like, oh dear.
Yeah. Oh God, it's glorious. There's so many little touches in here. Yeah. So before I jump off onto more things, we should talk about the good doctor Matthew Gentry because we haven't talked about his actor yet. Yeah, Charles Thomas Murphy was the one who played Matthew Gentry. He was a working actor through the 70s and 80s, primarily with a bit into the 90s. He first appeared in an episode of Sanford and Son, and then a small part in the 1976 film Nickelodeon, before a string of TV roles, such as an appearance on 2 episodes of Bob Newhart, an episode of Phyllis, The Incredible Hulk, and The Waltons. He'll appear twice more on Laverne and Shirley, once more even as this character.
Yes.
One of the things I want to make sure to give a special shout out to the actor is that he did pass away sadly at the age of 65 in the year 2006. Charles did a fantastic job for me in this episode. I think he was great. Again, I would have loved to have seen this character come back. Like if this character had been introduced early enough in the series, I would have loved to have seen him every year they were in Milwaukee.
Yes.
Because he is just so, it's really good, and there's something wonderful. About
honestly, he should have shown up earlier in canon. Yes, he should have.
Agree. Yeah, it feels like it would have worked. It would have worked well, especially because we have been getting a lot more of the brewery lately in this season, which is great. This is like the most we've had since year 1, practically.
Yes, I think so.
And it would have helped. I think that was probably a budgetary or time constraint of having to strike the set for the break room, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. But he would have definitely been better used earlier in the series. But yes, he did a great job. He's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I really, really, really enjoy his presence.
Yeah.
Episode.
Anyway, I think that kind of covers the majority of my notes.
Yes. Mine too.
Yeah. Cool. I guess, wow, we're ranking this one.
Yes, we are. This is a flat 10 for me. This is damn good. If you want any sort of psychological insight at all into these characters, watch this episode. Any kind of insight at all. If you have any feelings at all for these characters, watch this episode. Fantastically written, fantastically acted, fantastically shot. Even for a limited episode that's very high on talking. Everybody but Carmine gets a character moment here. You learn something new about them. They build, especially Squiggy and Laverne, get a lot of extra buildup in here. But you get great insight into Lenny and great insight into Shirley.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's incredible episode. Where are you going for this one?
I want to give it a 10. That tag scene really takes it down a notch for me.
I wouldn't vote it down because the tag scene sometimes gets completely eliminated from the episode when it airs.
True. And I could just stop watching. Yeah. I think I'll just, I'll give it the 10. I'll give it the 10 for now. I might caveat, but we'll cut the tag scene. It's a 10 because it's poetic. It's beautifully executed. It's cinematic. It's theatrical. It's wonderfully done. This really shows the strengths of all the people involved, both in front of and behind the camera. And, I really think that, this is a must-see episode of the series. If I was going to, give someone a pack, even if I was going to give a pack of 5 episodes, this would be it. This would be definitely in that 5.
Yeah.
3, maybe not. But 5 for sure. 5 or 10 episodes that I had to give somebody, just to get them on the show, get them on board. This would definitely be in the list.
So what would your top 3 be?
Top 3 would be probably Bowling for Raspberries, Haunted House, and I'd have to look up the episode list, but probably something from season 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Actually, Beatnik Show, I think would be one.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
because it ends with this, because that's your sisterhood ending.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a bit of a future thing for later listening for stuff.
Yes.
I mean, most people who listen to this show will have seen the episodes before I have, so that's whatever. Anyway, but yeah, so I think that covers my ranking and or rating for the episode. Yeah. It's funny. I expected this to be a more explicit episode of the podcast as well for us, just because of like the sex discussion and things of that nature, and the kind of the accusations of smut in Laverne's brain. But it didn't go there. I mean, I think what's interesting about this episode is that it really treats everything maturely, and I'm really curious, like, for what kids around the age of 10 or 11, how they felt watching this episode when it first aired.
Yeah.
Like the week it aired.
Yeah. Because it's a very cerebral episode, really. For the show, it is a very cerebral episode.
I wish there were more of them like that. I mean, that's when we hit the perfect ones like this, it's like, God, I want more. I don't know. It's maybe that's me being greedy, or just me not liking the majority of sitcom BS and just being like, just do this. This is good comedy and dramedy and stage, and do that.
Well, see, and then they also had like a good amount of goofy thrown in too, like with the scrambling on the bench, trying to avoid being the first to go into Gentry's office.
Certainly, but I guess what I mean is that's comedy that comes out of characters, not just necessarily out of situations. And that's always the strongest point for the show. We've talked about, like, Look Before You Leap, High Neighbor, Book 1 and 2, Honeymoon Hotel. Those episodes work best when they're from the comedy works best when it's from the characters.
Exactly. Now, I have a different opinion because this is my show.
I know.
My show
I know.
So I'm a little gentler on it. So we're allowed to have different opinions. That's important.
Yeah. That's true. You're not. Yeah, I guess that's the catch. Is if our opinions were too much the same, then the show would actually be in stereo.
Stereo.
Yeah, I've thought about making the show in stereo and having both our voices, justified towards a different channel or the other, and then I realized I would like to have time to do other things, like tell my girlfriend that I love her and say, and then check in with her whether this is it for today's episode.
I do believe that this is it for today's episode. Love this episode. Watch it.
Yes, do that. Do the thing. Watch the thing. And hey, Pluto, hopefully by the time this episode, our podcast here goes up, you've got this in your rotation.
Play something after season 4, damn it.
And stop playing Bully Show late at night. That's freaking terrifying when I'm trying to watch something to go to sleep, and then bam, it's freaking Bully Show. Assholes.
I know. Now, see, the last few times I've turned it on, I've been lucky. I've come upon Look Before You Leap.
Oh wow, nice.
So that would be my top. My top 3 would be Look Before You Leap, something like probably Dinner for 4 or Stepping Out or or Honeymoon Hotel and A Visit to the Cemetery.
Yeah, for a 5, that's a great list. Yeah, Visit the Cemetery.
That's why I cannot pick my favorite pure comedy episode.
Yeah,
that's my problem. I can't pick that. Testing would be in the 4th slot.
It's
incredible.
Yeah. Oh God, doing the top 5 for this season is going to be interesting.
I know. I told you this season was a strong comeback.
No kidding. Yeah, and it was the one that ratings-wise tanked. Anyway, which
really pisses me off. Where the hell were you, America? They moved the slot once, and y'all abandoned the show because you don't want to watch all the way through from that to Benson. Yet Benson was a hit that year.
God,
no sense. That's my head.
That just there's some things you don't make any freaking sense out of. I mean, what do you figure? They were too busy going to see Halloween at the theaters. They were seeing Alien,
The Exorcist, and the Aliens. And
yeah, they're seeing movies at the cinema. I mean, God, what were the big? God, this is around when Deer Hunter came out, wasn't it?
This is 79, 80. Alien was in the theater. I know this because my mother saw it when she was pregnant with me. And she was pregnant in 79.
Right.
79.
I take back Deer Hunter. That was, I think, 78, because I think it was the 79 Oscars was when Cimino gets the Oscar, and that's what gets him on to Heaven's Gate, and that's what destroyed United Artists.
Yep, poor UA. Kramer versus Kramer.
Oh God, that's right.
Next up.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I cringe a bit about that because I've heard stories about Hoffman's behavior on that set that make me very So
yeah, and honestly, the movie itself has not aged well, but that was very much a boomer, everybody's getting divorced movie.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. The China Syndrome.
China Syndrome. Okay. Oh, are you looking it up now?
Those few came from off the top of my head. Now I'm looking it up.
Okay. Okay, well, fine. Then I'm looking it up.
Star Trek the Motion Picture. Didn't that bomb?
Star Trek?
1941 definitely bombed.
The week that this was aired was All Quiet on the Western Front. Boardwalk. Hey, Salem's Lot premiered this week.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe people were too busy going to see Herzog's Nosferatu.
Apocalypse Now.
Hey, there you go.
2.
Well, I'm looking at specifically what was out around those weekends. Oh, hey, here we go. Late August, Rock and Roll High School. That was probably still tearing up the drive-ins.
Yeah, I love that movie. I have the DVD somewhere, special edition.
That's a fun one. In September, When a Stranger Calls, Wise Blood. By John Huston. Should we just get on with the tail end of the episode? We've kind of
we'll just cut most of this in the end.
No. I like the idea of like just keeping this there, and just see how many people remain. If you're still out there, thank you so much for. Yeah, no, totally. Let's do this. Let's do it. I mean, if this is the test to see if we've become enough personalities that people come to the show for us, not just for what we're talking about. That's the test.
Sound of buttons clicking away.
Testing. Everyone's clicking away now. Okay. Anyway, thank you everyone so much for joining us for Night After Night. And if you would like to know more, please join us at Night After Night Pod on Facebook or Tumblr or WordPress or Patreon or YouTube even. That's also the possibility. We do sometimes have special videos up on the YouTubes. We do like compilations. We do top 5s for our seasons. And for each season, and you can also find us on Twitter at NightFNightPC, and that is a great place to get in touch with us if you want to do watch-alongs, bug us about movies, bug us about other stuff, show us your fan art for Laverne Shirley, give us your headcanons. Like, do you think that Boo Boo Kitty and Jeffrey have a long-standing romance that they eloped, and that's one reason why they disappear towards the end of the series? Please let us know. Anyway. So anyway, I think we're supposed to be heading south this next episode, right? We're going to go south, right?
Yep. The girls take a glamorous vacation to near Mexico. That turns out to be very unglamorous. We got no wall. That is not quite south of the border.
That just gets my goat.